Karen Smuts. I'm an architect from South Africa. I work in Cape Town and I studied at the University of Cape Town. I graduated in 1984, and since 1982 I have been working in disadvantaged communities in rural and in urban settings in South Africa. We have a method of working where, because our education was Eurocentric and focused on European solutions, I had to learn a way of working to understand the inhabitants' needs. So we work very much through participation, where we sit and do workshops and identify people's needs and what they would like, and try to get them to be very much part of the design process. So it's not only that they will be receiving space or a public building, but they will also be part of the making of the solution. And we find that that's much more successful. Okay, so the one project that was one of our latest projects that we finished is what in South Africa we call a clinic, but I think in Europe it's referred to as a hospital. It's a big multidisciplinary clinic where people from a large area go to, and there's about 1,500 people can go on one day. There is a comprehensive treatment. You can get AIDS and TB, and then there's also there's a children's section, because one of the big problems in our society is that nutrition and babies often die of not having enough water. They rehydrated or they dehydrated. So one of the big programs is to teach young mothers how to take care of their children. So it's a very big clinic. It is in a new housing area, and it's serving a lot of people. But the very interesting thing is, because the management is open-minded, they allowed cultural activities to take place in the waiting area after hours and on the weekends. So sometimes there will be a festival to identify young talent, and then the festival judges will come to the clinic. They will close the pharmacy, they will close all the different areas off, and they will allow the community to do cultural activities in the same building. So the one project we worked on that is very successful is Guga Sithebe, and it is in Langa. It was done in 1994. We had 2 years of participatory workshops. We also had a street in the townships. We have civic organizations that work in the streets. So every avenue or street will have a street committee. So you can actually go into a household to get their opinion. So it's a very interesting process. So on that project we went into the street committees, we worked with the organizations, and we also had big public meetings. Sometimes 2,000 people will come to a meeting. And we will build models, and people will say, yes, we like that, we don't like that. And then we built a public building where today, when we did research recently, last week, with some Swedish researchers, out of 105 surveys, the residents of Langa said that this Guga Sithebe was the place that they felt the most safe. So it's a good urban space. It sits onto the street. It allows a lot of street activity, and it really makes a powerful center for the township called Langa. We have now more than ever before. I think when you go and study, you will see that nearly 50% are women, which is very encouraging. We also have very strong, motivated people of color. So in South Africa we have Africans and we have colored people, and there are some very powerful young women coming out of that field. And they are also interested in fighting for their own betterment. So they are also starting organizations to promote women architects, and they also are working on a mentorship. So they feel that when they are in the institutions, they are not supported as much as the male students. So they have started a mentorship program so that they can get that they can really get a better education. I think that in the beginning I didn't realize it. I just worked and imagined that I was like everybody. I couldn't imagine that I was different. But I think as I get older and lately, you will be more aware of the fact that you go to a meeting and you are the only woman. You go into a presentation, or even in the architectural fraternity, you will go to a meeting and there will be one woman, or you will go to a talk and there'll be one woman or two women. So I think it's still a big battle. It's a big battle for women to engage in the mainstream of architecture. We are working with one of our projects that is very encouraging, is with two young women. They are entrepreneurs, and they have produced a product, because wine in South Africa is very famous, but we have a big population who do not drink alcohol, and we have also a big Muslim population. So they have produced a non-alcoholic product called Zari, which is it's got a sparkling wine, and it's got a white and a red grape juice, and they have marketed it very well, and they came to us to look at doing a tourism destination for them. So what I find encouraging is, here's two women in business, and they're really working all over the world. They are working in Dubai, they have got everywhere. They want to have projects in New York, in Paris. So it's nice to start with these two women who are strong businesswomen. So that is a project that I'm really looking forward to. They've just bought a property in District 6, which is in Cape Town, and we will develop an emporium for them. So it's slightly outside of the normal work, but they have, when I worked on Robben Island, we were 5 women when Mandela was released. It was very peculiar, because we were 5 women who were appointed to change Robben Island into a tourism destination. And these 2 women were involved with, they had to do events management, and then there was a tourism expert, also a woman, and there was a marketing expert, and then myself involved with the architectural side. And I think it was interesting that we were 5 women from different professions asked to work on Robben Island. But we were also, our contracts were terminated all together in one day, because somebody realized that we were not the right, they didn't like the way we were getting things done. So it was a good experience working with women. Yes, I do, and I think I'm actually learning that from the young women that are doing architecture. They are very aware of the fact that they're women and that they are struggling in a man's world. So maybe since I studied and now that they're studying, things are changing. Also, what is very encouraging, there are very, very strong people of color who are women of color that are studying, and they are more political, I think, and more concerned about the future of women and what they can offer in architecture. So it's very interesting. I've had quite a lot to do with some of these young women, and one of them is now doing her master's, and she's addressing the issue of African space instead of European space. So it's something that is looking at the cultural identity of people and how it affects space making in an urban and a non-urban condition. Because I think our education is still Western European, and yet we're living in Africa, on an African continent, and it's really nice that the young women architects are taking up that debate, because it's a fresh debate, it's a new debate. And we really need to know what can Africa offer the world in terms of space making.